In Endfield, combat is built around multiple mechanics, so 4-star characters are not entirely useless. They fill specific roles and get the job done. So I will be going over the kits of all the 4-star characters, their team synergies, and rotations with each team. Let's start with the most popular 4-star, Fluorite. She can apply nature inflictions and can slow down enemy targets. Most importantly, if an enemy has at least 2 stacks of either cryo or nature infliction, then she will add another stack of the same element on them. This is very helpful when playing with Last Rite, as she needs at least 3 cryo infliction stacks to trigger her combo. Last Rite's combo will consume all cryo inflictions to apply cryo susceptibility on the target. Zahi can buff nature and cryo damage, so she can synergize with Fluorite as well. These 3 will make a pretty good team. For the last member of the team, Snowshine is a good choice. Snowshine helps reduce the damage allies take, provides healing. So the rotation for this team will start with Zahi's skill to get the temporary arts buff. Then we can use Snowshine and Last Rite skills to gain shields and apply cryo infliction. This will trigger Fluorite's combo, bringing the total cryo infliction stacks to 3. Now, Last Rite's combo can be used to apply cryo susceptibility on the target. With cryo susceptibility, Last Rite can use her ultimate to deal massive damage. Right now, there isn't any nature DPS in the game for Fluorite to synergize with. The next 4-star will be Estella. Although Estella is a cryo character, she can apply lift and physical susceptibility to the target. So physical characters like Chen and Inmin pair well with her. However, Estella is more suited for triggering the Shatter Arts reaction. For Shatter, enemies are first frozen with solidification. Then, a vulnerable stack will be applied to the solidified enemy to trigger Shatter and deal massive damage. Normally, to apply solidification, a non-cryo infliction has to be applied, followed by a cryo infliction. However, Alesh can apply solidification in a much easier way. First, use Estella's skill to apply cryo infliction. Follow it up with Alesh's skill, which will consume the cryo infliction to directly apply solidification. Since Alesh consumed the cryo infliction stack, his own combo can be activated to restore some SP. At the same time, an enemy is suffering from solidification, so Estella's combo can be triggered to apply lift and trigger shatter. Her combo also applies physical susceptibility, so physical characters like Chen and Inmin will be able to take advantage of this. The next 4-star is Antal. He can give the focus debuff to enemies. This debuff applies electric and heat susceptibility to the targets. Most importantly, when an enemy is affected with physical status or arts infliction, Antal will add another stack on enemies. This is quite similar to Fluorite's combo, but Antal is not really restricted to any particular elements, which makes him more versatile. Even though he only buffs electric and heat damage through his skill, he does pretty well in a physical team comp. In a physical team, the goal is to quickly apply vulnerable stacks on enemies and then consume those stacks to deal massive damage. In this team, you will apply the focus debuff with Antal's skill. This needs to be done because his debuff is needed to activate his combo skill. Then use Chen's skill to apply the first vulnerable stack to the enemy. Now you will be able to trigger Chen and Antal's combo one after another to get 2 more vulnerable stacks. Since combo skills have been used, Inmin's combo can be used as well to attach crystals to enemies and increase the physical damage dealt. Now you will use Inmin's skill to consume all vulnerable stacks and deal huge damage. This will activate Pog's combo and restore SP for the next rotation. Now, in this physical team, Antal can be replaced by another 4-star Catcher. Catcher is the only physical sustain in the game right now. He can provide shields, weaken enemies, and apply vulnerable stacks to enemies. With Catcher, you will start with his skill to gain shields and apply a vulnerable stack to the enemy. This will trigger Chen's combo, which in turn triggers Inmin's combo. Then use Chen's skill and then Inmin's skill to consume all stacks and deal damage. Finally, Pog's combo for restoring SP. Antal also synergizes pretty well with Akekuri and Levitain. Akekuri is a vanguard who applies heat infliction and helps restore SP. Levitain is an amazing DPS who requires teammates to apply heat infliction on enemies. These heat inflictions will then be converted into flame stacks. These flame stacks will trigger combustion and activate Levitain's combo. To apply the 4 heat inflictions quickly, start with Antal's skill to apply the focus debuff and heat susceptibility. Then use Akekuri's skill to apply the first heat infliction stack. If you add Wolfguard to the team, then his and Antal's combo can both be triggered to apply 2 more stacks. The last stack needed can be applied by using Akekuri's skill again. With all 4 stacks, use Levitane's final strike and then skill to use combustion. This triggers her combo and will provide her with ultimate energy. Finally, her ultimate will be used to deal massive damage. This is a decent Levitane team. But if you have Ardelia, then replace Antal with her. She is a much better option as she can heal, provide art susceptibility, and directly apply corrosion to activate Levitane's combo. All 4-star characters can perform well in the right team comps, and are especially helpful during the early game. However, they will eventually be replaced by other 5-star or 6-star characters in the future. So, investing in a 4-star mainly depends on whether they complete your team.